Well, welcome to episode 4. My name is Lisa Zufall. I am your co-host, and with me is my other co-host.
I am Sarah Wick, also with Idea2Launch.
Yes, and we are here today in studio at Studio Americana doing our podcast. Our guest today is Martin Fenner with Rosach Software. Did I do that right?
Yes, you did.
Yes!
Thanks for having me here.
It's a lot of practice.
Lisa, Sarah, thank you.
Wonderful.
Wonderful to have you here. It's learning about you, and Martin has a startup. So we brought him on to talk a little bit about his startup, where he is, what he's got going on, and to share some of the, motivation and tips for the other startups that may be out there struggling, wondering what they should do, because you've done a phenomenal job in just the past few months that I know that we've been talking together. So I think to start it off, just kind of, can you tell the audience a little bit about your background?
Sure can. I'm a Swiss citizen. I've been here for 28 years. Grew up in Switzerland, went to school there, engineering school, came to the U.S., did grad school, and started the first few businesses. And so I've basically been an entrepreneur since day one, and it's been hard. The one thing that you learn over time is you get better at it. You make mistakes. You should make mistakes because you learn from them. Some of them I'm not so proud of, but it gives you a good learning experience. And I'm now getting to my sort of 5th or 6th startup I've done, and I've learned a lot of lessons, which is good.
So your first few startups, what kind of industries or fields, what did they look like at first?
Obviously, I'm technical. My background is technical, so all my operations have been in the technical field. The first one is Martin Microtechnologies, which is was an integrator business doing some microsystems, specialty systems, and that's still going today. We're still having some accounts we're dealing with. After that, I had a number of startups. They were either the wrong timing, it was either the wrong personnel. The economy pulled one over on us, so there was a number of factors on why they did not go. But it also gave me a good learning experience to see what actually does go, what actually is going, and that's where we're at today with Rosach Software.
Right, and the Leopard CRM ERP software that you are in the midst of getting to market. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because it's interesting stuff you got going on.
Leopard CRM ERP has really been a long time in the making. I mean, I started that in 1998 when I first designed it, and I built a product, so to speak, as a version 1, and I'm still using it today. It's old software. We can't really do anything with it because it would take way too long to get it changed. But what I did learn is a lot of the features. How does the software behave? And most of all, what this software is all about, and that probably makes this a little bit different, is this is a user experience. This is software written and designed by a user who is doing all the tasks. Over the years, I've done all the tasks, business tasks myself. I've done, purchasing, selling, building, shipping, receiving, everything. And you learn the tasks. You know what to look for. You know what to expect. The software isn't telling you what to do. You tell the software what you want. And this is how the software is actually designed with the user in mind. It's not designed by an engineer. It actually flows nicely. The functionality is where it should be from a user perspective, and it's very intuitive the way it's designed.
Right. It's elegant in its design. In other words, the simplified user interface where you have all the tabs or all the actions that I need to do can fit in one window for me, and I can rearrange those tabs. Is that correct?
That is correct. I want to just explain real quick CRM and ERP. Maybe some people don't know what that is. CRM is customer relation management. This really deals with the customer side of things, quoting, talking to someone, getting an update where they're at. And then the ERP is the enterprise resource and planning. That's for the company side that deals with manufacturing, ordering parts, the operation basically. And those two things married together, tightly integrated, that's what we have.
All
So
in
that-
one.
All in one. That is correct. It's not that we're the only one, but it's a very elegant solution the way it's integrated. Many of our competitors bolt it, so to speak, together where there's hiccups. It takes a while for the communications. I know some of the competitor products are fairly slow. When you do an operation, you have to wait a second or two to get a response. Ours is pretty much guaranteed within the 100 to 200 millisecond on all the responses, which makes a nice flow and a nice feel to it. It feels like a local application. It doesn't feel like it comes off the internet.
Right.
That's
But
big
it is a
difference.
cloud-based software.
It's cloud-based. It comes out of Amazon. We decided that a while ago. That's the solution, and they're well known and they're worldwide. Since we
Right.
have going to have customers worldwide, we need to make sure that we have the geographic, infrastructure. If somebody sits in Germany or in Switzerland or in Italy or in Austria, they want their data local, not in China or in U.S. or elsewhere. So there's a big advantage for Amazon.
Right.
Very cool. And I think you downplay a little bit how cool this is. As somebody who is not the techiest person in the room by any means, having seen what you have put together, it is elegant is a wonderful tech term for it. Really, really cool is how I would describe it. Being able to put all of those pieces together all at once and how you're able to track conversations coming in through multiple channels, not just through your
Your patent pending
Email.
functionality. Do you
Oh,
want to touch
man.
on that?
It's
Sure.
so cool.
So when you're an employee at a company, or in sales, or in shipping, or in receiving, or whatever you are purchasing, you want a tool that helps you do your job, and it has to be elegant. It has to be all the information has to be right there, without going to screen after screen to look for the information. I really put a lot of time and effort into on how is the software designed? What information do you need at what time? And once you are doing a certain tasks, you do not have to leave the screen. Everything you will need for a task is there without getting in, pull down more windows or go to other screens. Everything is there at once. You don't have to move. And takes a little while to get that design right. I went to a lot of clients already, showed them what we had, and they basically said, hands down, this is one of the best things they've ever seen, just the way the data flows. One example is the built-in communications. That's one of the things that nobody else does right now, and that is
And it's super cool.
email is one form of communication, but there's text, you have Twitter, you have Snapchats possibly, WhatsApp, WeChat, whatever. The most applications that you will probably use at work is probably text and email. That's probably the base of what you use, but we have capabilities for all the other services as well. And they flow within the program, so you don't need external applications for it. It's built in, so when you pull up any product, any gadget that you're tracking, you can basically just click on an item, and whatever happened at that time in the past or present or whatnot, the communication that you had is right there. Any email, incoming, outgoing, is there, so you never have to look for an email anymore. That's one of the biggest complaints of people, looking for old emails, searching for something.
Yes.
It's done with this one. You don't never search for it again. So that's it. The way the functionality is laid out, that's what we have a patent applied for.
And
It
the
is
security around that.
Beautiful.
Yes. Yeah, the security as well, yes.
That's fabulous. I got really excited when I first saw it because
I still get
I
really
mean,
excited
when you think about
it. I'm ready.
taking all your social media feeds and your email and being able to plug them in on a topic and being able to drill in on that, that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing.
I had a meeting 2 weeks ago with an individual who's been in purchasing for 25 years. That's what he does for a living. And he's gone through 7 CRM ERP implementations in his life. And he looked at mine and he said he's never seen anything like it. I mean, that's the best he's ever seen in his life.
I believe it.
Just by, we sat there for like an hour, went through the functionality. He just said, wow, this is what we want, period. So.
Well, you went out to validate.
Yes, I went to many companies to validate the functionalities, and typically, 3 out of 10 people would want to buy the software right away. They wouldn't want to make me leave. But we couldn't ship. I mean, the software is not up and running yet, but it is a huge, huge interest in the software out there.
Well, that brings us to our next point, right? It's not developed yet.
Right,
We have wireframes,
right,
and you are in the process of raising money.
right. That's correct. We have a fairly exact plan laid out on how this works. So we're using external programming talent. We hired a local company. Can I mention the company? Who it is?
Oh,
Oh,
absolutely.
it's MentorMate in over in Hennepin. They got over 400 programmers on staff. Latest technology, up to date. They know what they're doing. We decided to use them exclusively because then we don't have the herding cats of engineers. I've done this before. I know it doesn't work. So it's a better working relationship, and they have all the latest and greatest technologies. So the story is laid out. We know exactly what we want. We've drafted a plan, which we're going to follow. It's a 24-week plan. There's 14 main functionalities we need for the software. They will be developed in 24 weeks. Of course, that costs money. The investment for that is about $500,000. We raised $250,000 already. We've already have booked sales, which there's nothing we can do with, unfortunately, but they're booked. They're in for $750,000. So
They already have book sales and they don't have a software.
right. So and we have more customers who are approaching us right now. So this is from go-to-market strategy. It's going to be very simple once we're out, because I think the first year we're going to come out with a bang when this.
I think so
this is
too.
ready.
Martin, why are they coming after you? Why are these clients saying, yes, put us in the books? Why do they want you so badly compared to, I don't know, the other software that's out there?
There's two levels of players out there. There's the big guys right now and the smaller local players. The big guys, typically what they do, the way to talk you into a software is they come in, they sit down with you, and they go over configuration and say, okay, well, you need this. This is how manufacturing does. This is how you do quoting. This is how you're shipping and receiving. So that costs money to lay that out. And we don't do that, because what happens is the client that we're going to go after in the 10 to 20 user space, they typically don't know what they want. So sitting down with them and you ask them, how do you want the manufacturing done? They say, well, we don't know. Show us what you have. So we take a completely different approach. We go into a client with an application that we know or we think will work the first day. Now, this is a pretty steep ticket. I can say, well, he's pretty arrogant. But I've used the features myself. And for most smaller companies, the application actually works and you get your job done. And then what we do, once it stabilizes over time, then you can make changes, because you don't want to. 10 to 20 user companies don't have money to throw away to
Right.
get something configured up front. They don't even know if they like it yet.
Right.
So from us, free of charge. You don't pay for it. It works. We walk in at 8 o'clock in the morning. 10 after 8, you're online. Period. You can test me on that, okay?
How long does it take to set up?
Well, the setup is to get you online. You could actually log in, but it will be empty. There's no data there, but at
Right.
least the application is accessible. Accessible, and you can get data in. We then have a service. We come in and look at what you have laying around. We give you an assessment. Say, okay, well, you have old application. You got some Excel laying around. You got maybe an old ACT database or a gold mine. We get all that data out, put it in ours. That could take a few days, a week, 2 weeks most, and we charge a flat rate for that. So when you go in with us, you know from day one you walk in, you know exactly how much you're going to pay, not a nickel more. And if it takes more time, it's on us. So that's number one.
You're very passionate about that. Why are you so passionate about this straight fee, no hidden costs, very transparent business practice?
Because I've talked to every user out there where they've gone through with the big guys, and that's not how it works. You have to have an
Right.
open checkbook, and you don't know how much you're going to pay. And small companies don't have that kind of money laying around.
You don't know what you're going to pay, and you don't know what it's going to look like when everything's said and done.
Right. I mean, you're part of helping them setting it up. Don't get me wrong. The pieces are that you can do it. It's just you pay money for it.
Right.
We just think it's not necessary. We set something up for you that works day one. We think for most smaller companies who have fewer requirements, what we have in a company will work for you. Okay. Now, if I go for a big client with 100 to 200 users, they'll come in and say, well, we want this, we want that from the get-go. I don't even want to concentrate on this initially. The smaller companies are fine with what we have.
In the 5-state area, how many of those smaller companies are around us?
We've located 120,000 companies in the 1 to 20 user space. There no retail, no food. It's about 120,000. And that's who I want to concentrate on, because those are the people who don't have 50 or 100,000 laying around to get them started. The second part is operational cost. Most big players charge not only the usage fee, but they have license fees, support fees. We don't do that. We got a straight flat fee, and it includes everything. It also includes future upgrades, updates. When we change something, when we add software, you don't pay an extra nickel. It's included to you. So it's like a big pool.
That's unheard of.
Well, it's out there. It's well managed the way we do it. So,
Wonderful.
and you as a user can make contributions to the pool, which then everybody gets, or you can ask us to change something for you. If we agree to the change, we will do it for free. And if there's a feature that we don't plan on doing yet, we can do it for a fee. We can agree on a fee, do it for you. You own it for 10 months, and then goes into general pool after that. So everybody benefits from that change. I think the big difference that our software has versus the competition is there's a single code base. Everybody's working off the same executable more or less. So there's some deviations, but we are basically responsible for the software. If something goes wrong, there's only one finger to point at, and that's us. We know how to keep it up, how to keep the software updates going. You don't have to work with integrators that, they come and go. You have a hard time finding them, and then a new one comes in, and what's going on here? And we don't do that. There's a single code base. We own it. We have talked to a number of clients, and we got their feedback on that, and they like that approach.
So you don't have to have a whole IT department with servers and
nope, you have
tech
nothing.
support.
You have nothing.
Okay.
So your backup is included in this. You don't have to do data backup. Amazon gives you all these services. You have high availability. You basically have no downtime. I mean, they guarantee like 8.9 service or 7.9, which is 99.99999, which is always so very good service.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I know that you presented at 1 Million Cups a couple weeks ago. And for our audience that are not aware, 1 Million Cups allows startups to present their idea to the community, to let them know what they have going on, what they've been working on, and share that information with the general public to field questions and get their name out there. And Martin, this week, right? You're going to present at 1 Million Cups in Wilmer.
That is correct, on Wednesday.
Yeah. So if anybody is in the Wilmer area and wants to meet up with Martin to learn a little bit more about Leopard CRM, ERP software, they should attend. Are there any other events that you've got coming up?
I have a number of private engagements with people that I've scheduled. So there's more investors I'm meeting with on a weekly basis.
That's amazing. How many investors are you looking for in this first round?
The fewer, the better. I mean,
Okay.
we have right now the $250,000 represents 3 investors.
Okay.
And we're most likely going to stay and trying to stay in S Corp status, not C Corp. So you have less than 25 investors. I think we can pull that off.
Okay. I think you can too. Martin, I guess for me, I've learned so much from you in the past month of just your perseverance and your get it done attitude. It's been amazing to be able to run alongside you.
Thank you.
I feel really honored. So what I'd like you to do is just kind of spread that motivation off to our listeners how do you keep going and pushing? And you push hard. You're very passionate. You're going and you're making things happen.
Right. I think this comes from, I've done it wrong a few times over the years, maybe over the last 20, 25 years. I know this takes time. It's frustrating as heck a lot of times because you look at and say, well, I didn't reach anything. I didn't make no progress this week or something. But then you look back 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks, and you look what you've actually accomplished.
Yeah.
And it takes time. You cannot force these things, okay? The raising funds is not an exact science.
No.
If you can live with that, that's fine. And you always think, oh, my God, I'm never going to meet anyone. Well, network. That's really what it is. You talk to someone, they know someone who can help you, and then you talk to them, and they talk to somebody else. So it's about 3 levels removed. sooner or later you'll find enough people and say, well, this is a really slick idea. That's what happened to me. All of a sudden, somebody out of the blue said, you know what, this looks like a really good thing. He actually called me after the meeting, after I was walking home. I had a phone call. He called me back and said, Martin, I like what you're doing. I pledge $50,000. Just like that. I mean, those are the kind of phone calls you want to get, and those are kind of nice. So the perseverance is really what, if you believe in something and if the structure is correct, what I mean by that is if you know that the clients will buy it, there's money to be made. Don't do something that, if you're trying to launch a product that there's no clientele, there's only 4 clients or 5 clients, don't do it. Stay away from it. So if all that is verified and have it independently verified, okay, then you go to the next step. Then you say, okay, here now, what are we going to do now? How do we going to raise money? And then the other thing is the operation itself. You need to look at how do you make money at it? Is this going to pan out?
Right.
Is this even feasible or not? So you're looking at all these structures, and then you come to a point where you say, okay, this looks good. Got the clients. We can make money at it. And then you build it up step by step. And you if you give up, you're dead. Don't do that, okay? There's weeks and days when giving up is so much easier just to walk away. Don't do that. It's frustrating. I work on the side. I got 2 more jobs to kind of support what I'm doing. That's the only way you can get it done. So that's my lesson. Do not give up. If you believe in it, don't give up. It will come.
Isn't he
Wonderful.
motivating?
Beautiful.
Inspiring. I tell you, and every time we talk once a week, and every time I talk to him, he's just full of energy and ready to just kick the world in the butt.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I guess we'll just kind of go with our final question here and wondering what can we,
Yes.
as the Idea2Launch community, Twin Cities and beyond, do to support you? What can we do to help? What would make your life better or easier?
I think one of the things I've been thinking about obviously is how do you go to market with something like this, and spreading the word to people who are looking at maybe getting something new. I was quick example. I went out Saturday night. I had some friends of ours invited us on the boat, and she works for a real estate company. And she's complaining about the software they're using there. And I don't want to mention the name, who the software manufacturer is, but
I know
very
plenty
frustrating.
about that.
Very frustrating. And she explained to me how it's going, and I just kind of smiled and said, yep, seen that before. Yep. So that's, we can help in that. Our application actually should work for that with a small, a couple of modifications. But it's really, our software really works in anything that needs to be traced. It doesn't have to be manufacturing. If you sell something that you need traced from A to Z, if you manufacture it, distribute it, sell it, rent it, subscribe it, it doesn't matter. That's what the software does. It gives you tracking from A to Z. That basically is 99% of all the companies on the planet do that.
Right.
They do something. They give something to a client. We can track all that. So spreading the word would be the best for us. If you know of a client that's struggling with their software, give us our name, and we'll see if we can help them.
What is your web address that they can reach out
It's
to you?
www.rosachsoftware.com, and it's ROSATSCH software.com. Rosach is a Romansh name, which is the 4th language of Switzerland. That's where it came from. So somebody wonders about that. rosachsoftware.com.
Fabulous. And we can link to that as well through our podcast.
Absolutely.
With Idea2Launch as well.
There's not much on the website yet, but we will update as we go.
Are you going to add screenshots?
Yes, when the time is right. Yes,
Okay.
we will.
So they can see it.
Yes.
Beautiful.
They're not there yet, but they will be. So right now, call us and we can do face-to-face meetings.
So one last question, and then we'll let them go. And my last question is, how is your software, the Leopard software, going to change the industry or the small business industry, do you think?
I think once they see the value, what it really is, it's going to be a lot easier to deal with it on a day-to-day basis. It's a lower entry point. It's a very small investment you have to make, and I can prove it. So I think it's going to make a huge difference on how you do your work.
Wonderful.
On your website is your phone number so they can call you with
Yes.
additional
Yes,
questions.
it's on there, yes.
Excellent.
Perfect.
We're really excited.
Thank you,
for this.
Martin.
All right, thank
Yeah.
you.
Thanks
Can't
for
wait.
having me here today. Super.
Thank you.